3D printing is no rocket science, and I am here to prove it. Hi there, I'm Gabriel, also known as MiniBoss here at Loot Studios, and in this video, I'll show you everything you need to know to start 3D printing whatever you would like. We will briefly explore how the machines work, what kind of equipment and workspace you might need, and what the overall process looks like to achieve results like the ones you are seeing here. And who knows? You might even walk away with enough knowledge to give that technical explanation the next time someone asks, "How do you get these miniatures?" If you already have some familiarity with how miniature 3D printing works, feel free to jump ahead to the next chapter. But if you're just starting out, let's begin with a bit of context. Nothing too complicated. The technology used to create these highly detailed miniatures is called stereolithography, or SLA. More specifically, most modern hobby printers use a variation known as MSLA. This version of the technology made resin printers far more accessible and affordable, allowing them to exist in compact desktop formats that fit easily into homes or small workspaces. And yes, the names sound a bit like secret government projects, but the idea behind them is actually pretty simple. Instead of melting plastic like FDM 3D printers, resin printers use a liquid material called photopolymer resin. When this liquid resin is exposed to ultraviolet light, it hardens and solidifies. By repeating this process layer by layer, the printer gradually forms the miniature from bottom up. Even though printers can vary in size and design, most resin printers work in a very similar way. Inside the machine, there's a build platform where the miniature forms. Below that, there's a resin vat that holds the liquid material, with a transparent film at the bottom. Beneath the vat sits an LCD screen that controls exactly where UV light passes through, and inside the printer there's a UV light source that ensures the resin hardens properly. All of these components, working together with the printing parameters we set, allow objects to be created layer by layer, with resolutions as fine as half the thickness of a human hair. Now, hear me out here. You now know what a 3D printer is and how it works, right? Well, yeah. The time for you to buy one has arrived. And if you start looking into buying a printer, you will quickly notice there are many brands and models available, and every day they release a new one. Before you lose your mind amidst the sea of options, I bring calmness. Most of the differences between printers come down to two main aspects: size and resolution. Higher resolution helps ensure good printing quality, especially on larger printers. Those larger printers also allow you to print more miniatures at once. No matter which printer you use though, the process of creating a miniature generally follows the same workflow. It all begins with the preparation stage. If you are printing Loot Studios miniatures, this is actually one of the easiest parts of the process because our models are already prepared and tested for printing. So all you need to do is open the file in your slicer software and export the sliced version to your printer. One tip we can give you at this stage is to vary the position of the pieces on the build plate. Try to avoid printing a single piece right in the center every time. Because our miniatures come pre-supported, you don't need to worry about learning how to place supports right away. And if you're curious about how that process works, we also provide the editable project files created in Lychee, so you can explore the setup and learn from it. Once the file is ready, it's time for the printing stage itself. When using a new printer, one of the first things you usually need to do is level your build platform, although some modern machines come pre-leveled or even with automatic leveling systems. If manual leveling is necessary, the technique that uses individual sheets of paper on each corner of the build platform is one of the most reliable methods. Improper leveling is one of the most common causes of printing failures, so this step is very important. You will also want to run a few calibration tests with your chosen resin and printer settings. That's why we partnered with the creator of the cones of calibration and included a calibration test inside the 3D Printing Hero to help you dial in your resin settings. Once everything is dialed in, the process becomes very simple. Just select the file and press play. In fact, you can practice this very advanced technique right now by pressing the like button on this video. Same level of effort, and it helps the channel a lot too. And it's important not to forget, this is the stage where it becomes essential to start following proper safety practices, such as working in an appropriate environment and using the recommended protective equipment and tools, like the beloved Apocalypse mask and our fancy chef gloves. After the print finishes, we move into the post-processing stage. The first step is removing the piece from the build platform so we can begin the cleaning process. Cleaning is usually done with isopropyl alcohol, where the miniature is submerged to remove any uncured resin from its surface. This can be done using simple do-it-yourself methods, or with dedicated washing machines that many printer manufacturers sell alongside their printers. After cleaning, the miniature needs to go through a final curing process. During curing, the resin becomes fully hardened and chemically stable. This can be done using a curing station, or simply by letting the miniature sit under direct sunlight, which is essentially a free, though less controlled source of UV light. At this stage, you will also need to remove the supports that were necessary for printing the model. And this is the moment when your ears start celebrating as you hear one of the most satisfying sounds in the hobby. Throughout all of these stages, it's important to use the proper personal protective equipment, commonly known as PPE, and maintain a workspace suitable for resin printing. Once the resin has been fully cured, the miniature becomes safe to handle without gloves or a mask. However, it's still important to remember that cured resin objects should never be used in contact with food. At this point, the miniature is finally ready in your hands. But because resin printing requires supports to hold the model during the printing process, small marks or connection points can remain on the surface where those supports were attached. These can be easily cleaned up with light sanding or other finishing tools, depending on the level of refinement you want. A tip we usually give people is to use a rotary tool with diamond bits at this stage. It makes the cleanup much faster and helps improve the final quality. We released a video about the best practices and techniques we use here at Loot when it comes to finishing. Pro-level tips, by the way. Many different factors, such as temperature variations, can influence the final result, especially during the printing stage. In the free 3D Printing Hero course, you will learn how to identify common issues, troubleshoot problems, and get back to printing successfully. And since resin printing involves materials that should not be thrown away like your average everyday trash, it's also important to understand how to handle and discard any waste that comes into contact with uncured resin. Learning how to deal with these materials responsibly is part of building a safe and sustainable workflow. Once you understand these fundamentals, you realize that 3D printing isn't nearly as complicated as it might seem at first. And with the right preparation, it becomes an incredibly powerful tool for bringing your miniatures and your tabletop worlds to life. Now, one thing you might have noticed is that we didn't talk about painting in this video. And that's because miniature painting is a huge topic all on its own. Here on the channel, we already have several videos dedicated to painting techniques, and a basic but very effective painting technique is also covered inside our complete 3D printing course, the 3D Printing Hero. In fact, everything we talked about in this video, from understanding how resin printers work to preparing files, printing, post-processing, and safety, is explored in much more depth inside the course. And the best part is that 3D Printing Hero is completely free and was designed to guide beginners through the entire process step by step, helping you to avoid common mistakes and build confidence with your printer. So, if you are excited to dive deeper into the world of 3D printing and start creating your own miniatures, objects, and more, make sure to check the link in the description and enroll in the course. And while you are here, don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to see the worlds you bring to life with your printer. See you in the next video!